as we build digital systems, as we push for interoperability of these systems and these systems being able to talk together, we're also putting in place a zero trust framework, which means that by default, any system is not going to trust any other system or device that is logged onto it. And so you put in place the right security measures that ensure that you have a zero trust framework in how you're building these systems and the interoperability that comes with it. I know very early on in the last few years, as we're thinking about cybersecurity, one of the things as you build systems, one of the things we're emphasizing as a design principle is privacy by design or security by design. We're in an age where there's a lot of value that we can extract from using data to drive better services for our people. But also comes the question of what happens to misuse of this data, and that's where data privacy laws are in existence. I remember when we were putting in place our data protection and privacy law, it was really a constant balance, looking at all the clauses and figuring out, is this more, punitive, or are we enabling more data to be used and leveraged to really drive better decision making, better services to our citizens? And so, again, the proof is always in the pudding when you start to test many of these things, and that's where you realize that for many countries what you'll do is you think about aggregating data so that it can be used in a useful way, but at the same time also thinking about giving agency over the users to be the ones that decide when and how their personal data can get to be used. The main challenge many people are going to face is that then you give them a very long consent form, 3 pages, that they don't have time to read, and sometimes they're going to consent to things that they don't fully understand. So I think on our side, even as policymakers, it's how do we simplify what that means when someone is consenting to their data being used, so that we're driving economic value from that data, but at the same time making sure that we're putting in place the necessary safeguards for that. The first one around data, and you're very right. Data is the fuel for this AI economy, or even everything that we're discussing. What we're seeing, and I'll give you the example of Rwanda, where we've been able to put in place our national AI strategy. And at the backdrop of that is the different data strategies that we're developing for various institutions. Now, very soon, we're going to be adopting a data sharing policy. And what that is designed to do is to allow for sharing of this critical resource across different government institutions, but also to minimize the duplicated investment that was going to happen, because every institution would be investing in this data infrastructure that allows them to collect this data, make use of it, and deliver better services to the citizens.